Hello, everyone. Woo woo. Woo woo. There we go. My name is Jeff McNaught, and I'm the lead programmer of Prime Time, our program devoted to the best in international and North American series. I'm also the head of industry and theatrical here at TIFF. And welcome to day 3 of the Toronto International Film Festival. I am so honored and excited to welcome you to the world premiere of High School. A sincere thank you to our lead and major sponsors, Bell, RBC, Bulgari, and Visa, for their continued support. And thank you to our major supporters, the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto for everything that they do. A reminder, this series is eligible for the People's Choice Award, so you can vote for your favorite films and series, everyone, at tiff.net/vote. We'd also like to thank Amazon Studios and Plan B Entertainment for providing us with this series. Woo! It feels only right that a show as wonderfully Canadian as High School premiere right here. Adapted from Canadian icons Tegan and Sara's 2019 memoir of the same name, High School follows our lead adolescent twin sisters, played by newcomers Rayleigh and Season Gilliland. The show shows them exploring their independence, their identity, and how to grow up without growing apart. There are many shows about high school experiences, but High School is refreshingly unique in its details. The evolving bond between Tegan and Sara, the incredible soundtrack that you're about to hear, and the very specific place and time of 90s Calgary suburbs. Canada's own Kobe Smulders plays Simone, the girl's mother. And Kyle Borheimer plays Simone's boyfriend, Patrick. And last, but certainly not least, Kyle. Woo-hoo! And it is Kyle's birthday. So wait for the Q&A, because there may or may not be a happy birthday. But we'll save that for later. Last but certainly not least, Clea DuVall wears many hats as writer, director, and executive producer on this series, alongside executive producer Laura Kittrell. We will be showing 3 episodes, so when the first one ends, wait for the second one. When the second one ends, wait for the third one. And then we will have an extended Q&A with everyone I just mentioned here on stage with me. To say a few words in advance of the screening, please welcome writer, director, and executive producer, Clea DuVall.
Hello. Do I just stand wherever? Okay, hi. Hi, everyone. Hi. It's when you're making a TV show, you never think you're going to get to have this kind of experience and see it like this and with an amazing audience. So I'm just so grateful that you guys had us here, and so grateful to TIFF. It's such an honor to be here. So thank you so much for screening the show. And I also just want to thank everyone at Amazon Freevee, Lauren Anderson, who is the reason we got to make the show in the first place. And I'd also like to thank Jennifer Salke at Amazon and the entire Amazon Freevee publicity team, who has taken such good care of us all and, organized all of this. And we have some of our amazing cast and crew here. We have Rayleigh and Season, as discussed, Olivia, Amanda, Kobe, and Kyle. Happy birthday, Kyle. And our brilliant cinematographer, Carolina, is here. I think if she made it. You did? And then our editor, Rod, our assistant editor, Daniel, I'd also like to thank Plan B, Karina, Jeremy, Dee Dee. You guys have been amazing collaborators. And Laura Kittrell, who is my co-writer, co-showrunner, who I very literally could not have done this without. And then lastly, I would like to thank Tegan and Sara, whose memoir was so beautiful and touched me so deeply. It was the first time I had really read something about my adolescence that I really connected with, that made me feel seen. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for allowing us to tell your story and trusting us. Everybody worked so hard and did such an amazing job, and I'm really excited that now people get to watch it.
Enjoy, everyone, and reminder, stick around for the Q&A. Woo! I'm not even the exciting part. Please join me in welcoming Laura Kittrell, Clea DuVall, Season Gilliland, Sarah Quinn, Rayleigh Gilliland, Tegan Quinn, Cobley Smulders, and birthday boy Kyle Bornheimer.
Sure.
I would love to start off by asking how this series came to be. I know you mentioned, Clea, that you were inspired by the memoir, but how did it become a series?
Well, I read it and like one day, and then I called Tegan and Sara the next day, and I was like, "This is incredible. Do not give the rights away to just anybody. Give them to me, because I know and love them, not only them but also the people." The people in their lives. And, I just felt so protective of them and protective of their story. And, it wasn't instant. I feel like there was some talking about it and making sure it wouldn't ruin our friendship. And then we agreed. And then it did. And then we had a huge falling out, years and years. No, then we decided to work on it together and developed it, and then started working with Plan B. And developed it a little bit more, and then took it to Freevee, and they were just amazing partners, and really always, I always felt like they just wanted it to happen. Like they were really supportive from day one, and so I wrote the episodes you saw, and then based on that, they were like, okay, let's do it.
And what does your creative partnership look like between the two
very
of you?
toxic.
Super sexy, if you were asking me.
It's bad. No, I mean, I feel like we had a shorthand very quickly, and I feel like we got along pretty instantly. And once I came on, I just felt like we were always talking. Like there was structure of okay, here's what we're going to work on today, but I feel like we were also just in constant communication.
Whether she wanted it or not, Frank.
And I don't.
Tegan and Sara, what was it like for the first time seeing? Is this the first time you've seen this, or have you seen it already? And what was it like seeing it for the first time? I would say.
We have seen it. Can I just take 1 second to say I'm so nervous? Is everyone up here nervous? You're not nervous? Oh my God.
I'm nervous.
I'm so nervous.
Should we be nervous?
Whew. Yeah. Season and I are nervous. That was not the first time seeing it, though it was the first time seeing it with everybody up on the stage. And I love you guys, and it's so beautiful, and I love all of you for being here. And it was I'm sweating. I feel like I'm stoned right now. It was really cool.
Sara took acid, everybody.
It hit in episode 2. It was, that was intense, Kobe. I mean, just whoa. No, it was amazing, and we're just so grateful to be here. Thanks so much.
Why was it so important for both of you to have Clea and Laura at the helm of this series?
Well, Clea called me first after she read the book.
Yeah, that's weird. It's weird how you changed the narrative and said that it was Tegan and Sara, but it was truly Tegan.
It was cool because you were like, I called Tegan and Sara like as if we still lived together. So I called over to their apartment and they were both hanging out. Yeah, and Clea, she just was like, don't give up control. Be a part of this. And Clea has like been our friend for 15 years. We're extremely close. We've spent holidays together. Clea spent, I don't know why, but multiple Christmases with our family. And
she's very Christmassy. Look at her. She loves Christmas.
But she, obviously she was concerned about our story, but I think both her and Laura, wanted to enrich and build and fill in the world around us. Our memoirs from our perspective. It's our story, what we remembered, and I think they beautifully kind of filled out the story and the universe, and that was such a big part of how Clea sort of convinced us it should be a show. Like that there was this really interesting group of people who were around us, and she really kind of sold me, and then made it all about them, and I'm really disappointed.
Clea, in the introduction, you mentioned, when you first read the memoir, that you hadn't read stories like this and high school experiences like this before. And I'm actually going back to Tegan and Sara with a question in relation to when you were.
Clea,
I know. I saw the mic pass, and I was like, oh, this is going to be disappointing.
And it was embarrassing for me, and I should go.
But I wanted to ask Tegan and Sara, just in terms of writing the memoir, did you have the same thing in mind? The idea of like, stories like this don't exist, and your story doesn't exist, and people, don't get to read that or see that on screen on a regular basis. Was that in the back of your mind when you were writing it?
Laura?
We're so lucky to be able to talk about our stories every night on stage, but admittedly there was something exciting about putting it down in print, and also being able to talk about the sort of before Tegan and Sara became Tegan and Sara part. It was something that we really protected until very recently. I think, there's actually people we grew up with here tonight, and it's like, there's something about, love you guys, there's something about,
Stand up, everybody. Take a look at people we went to high school with.
our friends really love to be the center of attention. Girls. No, I think that there was something about becoming public people at such a young age that made us want to protect the part of our life that came before that. But there's also something that is so special about sharing that story because it was so unique. One of the things that I think that Clea and Laura did so well with our story was it's not just our story, and we were not the only gay people just like turning straight girls gay in high school, like a lot of stories that get told. There's just like a lot of gayness in our world when we were growing up, and I think or an openness or a flexibility in a sort of like a chemistry, like didn't have to be romantic, but over 20 years of just being in the world and talking to people, we would hear like this is more common than people think. Just because you're gay doesn't mean that your sexuality only is directed at gay people. We were ready to just like unleash it on every straight girl, and so I just appreciate that Clea and Laura really ran with that. That's sort of a half honest answer. It's gay propaganda.
I wanted to ask about this. There's no segue that I can make to my next question, but I wanted to ask about the casting and bringing the cast together and just talking about that experience. And you have a fantastic cast and some newcomers as well. And I'd love to hear the story about the casting.
Oh my God, I kind of had a moment with Kobe, so I was not... Then you guys were all looking at me, and I wasn't sure what the question is.
You found them. Remember how you found them on TikTok?
Well, I don't know if you guys have heard of TikTok. Sarah got me hooked, and like acid, but we had been talking a lot about twins and how on earth we were going to find twins that could play Tegan and Sara. It was something I think we talked all about a lot, and then one day Rayleigh showed up on my TikTok feed, and she was giving a tour of her car, and it was very like, "Hey guys, it's Rayleigh. I'm on my lunch break, and I just want to give you a tour of my car. So this is the thingy, whatever the hell that's called, and then I got a Monster Energy drink and a sushi." And I was like, "Is that me in high school?" Like, because we just went through all this VHS footage of me in high school, and I'm literally always talking to the camera and giving tours of things. Anyway, so I sent it to Sarah. Long story short, we basically pestered the crap out of our friends, Clea, everybody, and everybody was like, God, it's...
Oh, it was insane.
It
was like an insane thing to say of like, hey, we found these people on TikTok. They like have nothing to do with the film industry. They don't even want to be actors. Let's bring them on to be the leads of our show. Was like, yeah, totally, that's cool. Like, but
you were never condescending about it. You were like,
oh, privately,
guys?
you should have seen the text between Laura and I. We were like, these crazies. No, but we're so skeptical.
Yes.
Right, Laura? Is that okay to say?
Skeptical, yes.
Yeah, we were very skeptical because it is like it's such a huge ask. Like acting, I think a lot of people have this idea about acting that it's just like sort of like lying and pretending and like that. Not if you're doing it right. Like to be an actor is like, it's not an easy thing to do. To understand the craft of acting is, it's not something that everyone has or can do, and to ask not only one person but two people to be great at acting who don't even want to do it is bonkers. But and
then there's the music part on top of it all.
Oh yeah, the music part. But then like Laura and I were like, okay, let's audition them, and like Sarah reached out to Rayleigh and they did an audition that was like undeniably like okay. And we were like, can we get one with Rayleigh in season and not Sarah and Rayleigh? Because that's not helpful. But they, they made an audition tape, and there was something like undeniably like charming and charismatic about them. And then they came to LA, where we met them in person. But before they did that, they started working with an acting coach who told Laura and I and Tia, which relayed to you guys, who were like, cast them. We were like, relax. But they, this acting coach was like, it's not going to happen. I want you to like set your expectations as low as they can possibly go and then set them even lower, because I cannot, like, I will probably not be able to do this. And we were like, it's fine. We just want to know if they can do it. And she met with them a couple times and she was like, I think they can do it. They're so special and we love them. And then they auditioned for us and in person, and they were doing a lot of whispering to each other and laughing, which Laura and I did not care for because we thought they were talking about us. And they were talking about us. But there was just something about them that was so special. And to their credit, like once we gave them the job, they worked so hard. They were in like acting classes multiple times a week, music lessons multiple times a week. They took it so seriously. Season didn't even want to do it. But then they did, and they were just so brilliant, and I was just so blown away by them every day and so proud of them. That was so long.
And then we begged Kobe and Kyle to join us as well. And we are so lucky.
And they also set their bar very low. The acting coach said, do not expect.
We worked with a coach. Thank you. This should be heard. We worked with a coach for months.
For this panel,
we're still not quite there for this panel, but for the show, we did quite extensive work. So thank you for taking a risk on us newbies.
Well, thank you to the acting coach in the audience who did this amazing job. All them. No, I wanted to ask on the flip side of that, Susan and Rayleigh, when you get that call that you are in the show, that you've been cast, what did that feel like? And was it excitement, nerves, probably the feeling that you might be feeling right now?
Well, okay. When they called and said that we got the job, I'm sorry, you can probably hear my heartbeat right now.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Anyway.
She was fishing.
It was all in action. It's fine. We just want to
It's all part of the charm.
Okay, anyway. When they called and said that we got the job, I thought, holy shit, how do I turn this down? And then Rayleigh insisted that we take it. And so I thought, fine. If you don't want to work in pizza anymore, then we might as well.
You worked in pizza before this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you were, okay, that is amazing. And really, with the same experience for you, were you more eager in terms of doing this? There was
I thought it could
persuasion?
be fun.
And was it?
How do you feel now?
It was fun.
Another question for Kobe. What was it like? Did you have conversations with Tegan and Sara in advance in relation to playing their mother?
I called. No, I didn't. We didn't really chat much about your mom. I hope she likes this version of her.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Let's get into it. No discussion. But luckily, they wrote such a beautiful book. There was so much there already to work with. Not a ton of. I haven't even met your mom. Oh man,
Make it happen.
we gotta get that. We gotta get that on the books.
Extremely happy that you got cast as her. Like, extremely happy.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet.
Yeah. She's here. Let's get our mom.
Oh, I wish. No, but just working from the book and getting to work with these lovely girls. It was very easy to play bad cop a lot of the time.
Tegan and Sara, what were some of the traits that you found, really came across in Kobe's performance in relation to your mom?
Give a critical
Was
response
I
to
as
Kobe
cool
in
as
front
your
of this
mom?
audience.
Yeah. Who's cooler?
I think that one of the things that was super important to us, and we talked a lot about this with Laura and Clea, who I want to just publicly say were so patient with Sara and I, because we would give like 2,000 to 3,000 pages of notes all the time, because we'd be like, well, that's not the kind of cheese our dad ate, and super important stuff for television. But we kept saying, like, our mom is actually really funny, and our parents were not traditional parents. They were really they did spar with us. I mean, we kept saying this when we were out selling the show, like, we are all older than my mom was when we started high school, because my mom had us so young. So it was really important to us that the parents still felt cool and hip. And when Kobe got cast, I was so relieved. And when I saw her the first time on camera and she was so funny, I was so relieved, because I think our mom was very serious and she can be very intense, but she also is a good laugh, and she's a good time. So I think that's my favorite part, is that pretty much every time you're on screen, I'm laughing.
Well, thank you.
Except when you're crying about the dead person.
Except Amy. Amy. I think it's a worthwhile story. Can you tell the story about your mom, how she would say that she knew all the women downtown? And they were
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, this is
Good
sort
one.
of. Thanks a lot, Kobe. So there was one story that my mom, when we finished the memoir, we let our friends and family read it, because we didn't want them to be really mad at us, and we said, look, if there's something you can't live with, we'll take it out. And there was a lot I thought that my mom would take out of the book, but there was just one amazing story that she made us take out of the book, which was.
If you don't want to talk about it,
No,
I
I
didn't
mean,
mean to
I'll-
bring it up.
I can say it. I can
Okay.
say it. There's no press here. It's fine. It's not a public
Nobody's
event.
actually no. It's not
a public
nobody's
event.
recording them.
Our mom worked with a clientele. Yeah, I will. Our mom worked with clientele that was our age, and we used to go to raves and take acid. And so one time my mom told us that her client's boyfriend sold us drugs at a rave, and we believed her. And so we became a little more cautious about when we would buy drugs. And when we were writing the book, I wrote that story into the book, and my mom said, you don't actually believe that First of all, why would my clients know who you are? I would not be like at work chit-chatting about my teenage daughters. I just said that to you so that you would know that I was always watching you.
I just love that. That to me is Simone.
It's good. Yeah, that is Simone. Yeah.
That is a good parenting tip for all parents out there as well. I wanted to kind of ask a question about for Kyle's character. When I watched the episode, as a Canadian kid, I actually saw a lot of my father in your a younger version of my father, obviously, in your character. The car rides and those moments. How did you prepare for the role?
It was a similar here. I don't know if I no.
Happy birthday, Kyle.
Oh, thank you. Similar. There was so much in the book and on the page, and then talking to a combination of talking to Tegan and Sara about the real character who, can I say his real name?
Oh, yeah.
Bruce, right? Okay, because my character's name changed a few times too.
Yeah.
And then the book was great material, and then the scripts were so well written and so evocative, and I connected pretty early with that. I've known that guy. I just knew him. I knew a version in my little town, Mishawaka, Indiana, that was similar to what I was seeing. And I knew that weather, from growing up, and I kind of had a nice little rhythm with it early on in terms of like the physicality of it, and then the details that were all from the book and the scripts were just really informative. I mean, doing a real life of people that are still alive is really tricky, and not everyone, every actor says, should I meet with them? And it's not always the case that they want to meet with you, or that so you do really have to rely on the artistry. And in this case, it was from their life and then turned into art by Clea and Laura, and that was a real gift, because then I was freed to do my own interpretation based on those two things, and then in conjunction with them and build that character. But really, that's a long way of saying it. It was pretty simple to once you tapped into it. It was pretty easy to see that. But he's also like a pretty complex character as the show goes on. They wrote in these really interesting traits of his and a little journey that he goes on that's very of its time of the 90s and of that type of man living in the 90s in that area. So it was all there for me to jump off from.
Before I send it over to the audience for questions, so think of your questions. My last question I have is, now that we have a better sense of what Tegan and Sara's high school experience looked like, I'm curious to hear from everyone else on the stage, if a series was made about your high school experience, what would the title of that series be?
Clea, we're actually developing your high school story right now.
Please.
Just real cool girl crushing puss. I don't know.
What was I missed the last part of it.
Yeah, I did.
Laura.
Cool girls.
I feel like we missed the last part of it, Laura.
Oh, it was just real cool. Period. Just cool girl. Cool. That was it was just cool girl, and everyone liked her.
Maybe it's cool girl ?
Cool girl ?
Let's start at the end.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I don't know the title, but I will tell you it would have that soundtrack. The music, I was tearing up just at that music, that style of music. That was I fell in love with all the alternative bands in the 90s. I would have really been intimidated by Tegan and Sara. Like, I would have thought they were so cool, and I would have been very nervous around them. But then by senior year, I think they would have saw that I was kind of cool, and like we would have been like, oh my God, you like the same music? Oh my God, I like that music too. Oh my God. And so I think by senior year, we would have been like, oh, I didn't know you were so cool. And so maybe that would be the title. I didn't know you were so cool would be the title.
You got there.
This is hard. I will open with, one of the reasons I was drawn to this project is that my high school experience was very similar to this show. So it's just really cool. But I don't think I could be the star in my own show. So I'm going to make it like a sports show. And I'm going to call it like Soccer Girls with a Z. Because I played soccer all through high school and I thought I was really good until I started going out on weekends and couldn't do the Sunday morning games. Anyway, here you go.
I choose not to remember the first 3 years of high school. My title for the last year would be Absent and Barely Passing.
Oh, that is good. That is good. Do you have one?
And now it's your turn.
I'm passing.
Okay. Passing as well.
Yeah, and she's yeah, that's great.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We're all proud of you.
Yeah.
One of you is barely passing, and the other one is passing.
I don't know. Probably. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I love it. Okay, we are going to do some questions. I'm blinded by the light, so if you could wave at me, it actually helps me. There's a question right here. If you want to stand up.
Okay, so I actually sent in a tape for the show with my twin, so no hard feelings. Since I'm a fan, I told her who was going to be Tegan and who was going to be Sara, but I was wondering for Valiant season, I heard that you decided between yourselves who was going to play each twin, so I'm wondering if you did research, how you figured out which one was better suited.
No, we did no research. I read the sorry. I read the first page of the script, and I think in the script that I read, Sarah was being a little mean, and I said, "This is season."
Oh.
What a Tegan answer.
Other questions, please wave. And if you can stand and I can't see you. Okay, yes. Oh, I can see you.
The process of adapting a nonfiction book into a series, a somewhat fictionalized series, was, it was a lot of conversations that Laura and Tegan and Sara and I had of just like, because, life doesn't happen in 30-minute chunks. So you have to kind of find the way to, build a story using these, very significant life events. So we would kind of, Laura and I, when we were breaking the season, we would sort of take these, events from the book and say, okay, we want to build this episode around this. And then based on, what that event was and who was featured in it, we would sort of figure out who else we would want to follow, like who would make sense. But we always used, because once Tegan and Sara discover music in the series, like music is really like a through line through everything. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what we would do, was just like sort of pick events and then build the stories around it. Right?
I also think Life Doesn't Happen in 30-Minute Chunks is a great title for your high school show.
Any other questions? Right here, yes.
Well, interestingly, we had gone back to our high school about a year before we started shooting to shoot some documentary footage there and do some interviews with some of our friends from high school. So we'd had the initial shock of going back to high school for the first time in 20 years earlier. But the first week of shooting, we were in our high school and it was surreal. I mean, it can't be overstated what little pieces of shit we were in high school. And I mean that in the most caring and empathetic and loving way. We were just pretty lost in high school, and to get it together and then get to be here is quite surreal. So seeing the high school was surreal, but seeing the high school full of professionals shooting a television show with characters named Tegan and Sara based on a book we wrote, I'm sure my English teacher was like, "What is happening?"
I actually saw on one of the walkthroughs, I think it was when I came and visited you guys in the pre-production stage, we walked past Miss Woods, the gym teacher, who was still the gym teacher. And it just seemed like she shouldn't still be there at the,
She likes her job.
I'm not saying it's a bad job. Are
you adding that because why?
I don't know.
Did she look at you like, "Good for you, girl"?
No, but I did see this really sweet. Tegan and I gave the commencement speech at the high school graduation this year virtually, and Miss Woods filmed it, and someone filmed her filming it and sent it to me. So I feel like we're on that. This is starting to feel like, what's that show that just came out, The Rehearsal? I feel like this is that. I feel like Kobe and Kyle and me and Tegan should go spend a month living together and just practice for season 2.
Yeah, Nathan's back there somewhere.
Yeah. Thanks, Nathan.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for sharing this series with all of us, and thanks so much for all coming. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.